the biggest problem is global warming, but we can't solve the global warming unless governments have the money available, the financial flexibility, as I call it, to switch from the oil economy to a clean energy economy. And then the third thing you have to have is the technology for clean energy, and that's where the extraterrestrials have come in, because they, along with some of the people in the United States and the members of the cabal, as they're called, have developed this clean energy. And it's there to be used, except they won't make it available, because they're somehow, and I don't know, where the morality comes from. The same people own the banks, control the banks, and control the oil companies, and they want to cash in their oil chips before they release this new technology. When we haven't got that kind of time. They're talking about 20 or 30 years. They're still drilling oil wells. 8 years ago now, I was the first person of cabinet rank in the G8 group of countries to say unequivocally that UFOs are as real as the airplanes flying overhead. And I was sure of that when I said it, and I'm even more sure now. And there were crashes at Roswell. There were actually crashes before Roswell, which occurred. The ones there occurred, the two of them, in July of 1947. But there had been crashes before that, one in New Mexico in 45 and one in the Pacific Ocean. And but sort of the interest in this subject began with Roswell. It was sort of the timeline said, not that the Earth began in 47, but the interest in UFOs began in 47. And that's when the United States government really started getting interested in it, because it was soon after the war. And I think the armed forces were really shocked, flabbergasted really, to find out that somebody had technology that was superior to their own, because they'd gone through the war and helped win the Second World War, and they were feeling their oats. And all of a sudden, these UFOs crashed, and they said, wow, there's technology here that we don't understand at all, because they didn't have any combustion engines, they didn't have storage tanks for oil or anything like that. And so they had to start working to try and find out how they worked and to get the secrets. So they put together a group headed by Dr. Vannevar Bush, and you've probably heard of the Majestic 12. He was a member of the original Majestic 12. And he got a group of scientists together that started what they call back engineering the technology, and it covered a wide range of things. They had like fiber optics and microchips and improved lasers, all sorts of technology that they really borrowed from the extraterrestrials and started developing it for use by the United States. Well, this is, despite government denials, this has been going on ever since. And you now have these huge underground facilities in Nevada and Arizona and New Mexico, where they have what, as you well know, are called the black operations. And some of the things they do there, I'm sure the American people would not approve of, which may be one reason that they don't want disclosure. And but the technology they've developed in that number of decades is mind-boggling. And I don't think anybody, probably anybody, knows just how big it is if you could measure the whole thing. But they've been developing new weapons, and they've been developing new kinds of flying craft using some of the technology that they've learned from the extraterrestrials, and they have in fact had some help from extraterrestrials, at least from two of the species, from some of the grays and some of the tall whites. And they have worked together and exchanged information, exchanged technology. And it's hard to know exactly what they've got because they won't disclose it. But Ben Rich, who was in charge of the Lockheed Skunk Works and who was an insider in this thing before he died, told a group of his classmates that we have the technology to take ET home. Well, that's something, isn't it?
That's pretty amazing. Absolutely, that is absolutely. Yeah, I'm aware, and we've mentioned on shows, but it's good to repeat by somebody like you that what you just said, that they have made treaties, they have made technology exchange agreements with extraterrestrial organizations or extraterrestrials.
And the reason I was at the Citizens Disclosure hearing in Washington a couple of weeks ago.
Excellent.
And had the privilege of being the final speaker. And my principal interest in, well, first of all, I don't like a culture of deceit. And I can understand why maybe some of these things were such that they had to keep them a secret, until the end of the Cold War, until the U.S. was in a clear position of dominance. But then after that, I don't see any reason why they shouldn't let the American people know what they've been paying for all these years, what's been accomplished, and what Congress has let slip through that they haven't bothered to keep track of in accordance with their constitutional responsibilities. And not only that, but to take advantage of the technology in various areas. The ETs are way ahead of us in agriculture and in medicine, and there is some suggestion that the reason they're not making some of these things known is because they have too much investment in the pharmaceutical companies. But the one I'm most interested in is the new exotic forms of energy, because I'm told they have developed zero-point energy to the point that a small box would be enough to heat your house and provide you with all of the power that you need. And the reason I'm so concerned is that I figure that we have just a few years. In my book, I say 10 years, but that 2 years has gone by, so we have about 8 years to replace the power source in every car, truck, tractor, airplane, and home on Earth, in order to stop the global warming before it's too late.
I agree with you 100%. And by the way, I'm one of those scientists that have worked on these, you could say, black box projects or black projects. And a small box the size of a shoebox could easily run a house. You could actually run a whole subdivision with something like that.
Well, this is what we've got to do.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's what our organization's pulling for. One of the goals, we'd like to get this stuff into mass production. It is a challenge because there's establishment in place that doesn't want it out yet. And like you say, they want to wait another 20 years, which is not, needs to be done now, So.
But what about the morality of people who would jeopardize the future of the world as a hospitable habitat in order to make a few more $100,000 or $1 million or $1 billion that is of no use to them beyond just enough to provide their real needs?
It's absolutely mind-boggling what's going on financial-wise. So if you've got any connections, you can help us get this stuff out. You just let us know. Of course, we can talk about it more. You're welcome.
Well, I understand that there are some moves in that direction, and I just hope and pray that the rumors are substantive and not just some more rumors.
Yeah.